r/AskReddit. Police officers, has someone tried to turn themselves in for something that was entirely legal? What did you do? Please subscribe, leave a like, comment and share the video to help the channel. Wasn't thrilled when I got a call from a grandmother saying that she almost left the oven on when going to Walmart for Christmas shopping. I politely told her that if no illegal trouble or acts were done then it was completely okay. She replied along the lines of, but it could been very fatal, I should be arrested. I once again told her everything was alright and greeted her off. Not exactly what you are looking for, but I once was in the office when someone came to the window and said he thought he had a warrant. We looked into it and found out that yes, he had a municipal warrant. We went out and informed him that yes, he had a warrant and we would take him into custody. As we went to handcuff him, he started to fight with us, with all of us ending on the ground. I was pretty baffled as to the whole situation. Had someone come to the front desk to confess that they had taken pics of a few kids on the bus and got the stink eye from the kid's mom. Person was afraid mom would call it in first and she'd be arrested for something. Pic taker was an elderly lady who liked the kids' shirts and wanted to buy some for her own grandkids, but knew she wouldn't remember what the shirts looked like. Karen was having none of grandma's explanation though. Somewhere there's a great video of two teenagers who took DMT, edit, not DMT, it was Jimson weed, and ended up turning themselves into the police station because they were tripping too hard and couldn't handle it. The cops put them in their own room and monitored them with cameras. They passed a non-existent cigarette back and forth for like an hour. Not quite the same. A family friend got one of those viruses on their PC that were all around on Windows XP that says your PC is locked by the police for accessing illegal stuff. This variant offers either payment or, hey, you can take your computer to the police station and they'll do it for free. He was laughed out. Dutch police here. I once stopped a couple of American tourists for some small traffic violation. Like most times with tourists, I just wanted to explain the situation and send them off. However, these guys were really nervous and sketchy. One guy kept looking like he was about to run and started sweating. When I was calling some info and I saw them whispering and trying to secretly pass something between each other behind their back from the corner of my eye, my first thought was that they were trying to hide some weapon or whatever. The way how they did it spooked me for some reason. So I quickly pushed them against the car and the situation went grim and serious fast. But turned out he was trying to hide one joint. And I looked at him and was like, dude, this is Amsterdam. Are you stupid? I've only had people try to turn themselves in for warrants they didn't have. One man in particular was worried his van would get towed, so he wanted me to take him. He didn't have any warrants, so I told him he was good, but he was still pulling at the door trying to get into the back of my car. If you think you have unpaid traffic ticket warrants, call the courthouse. If you can't afford it, they'll set you up a payment plan and clear your name. My mom tried to turn me in when I was a little kid for shooting a friend with an airsoft gun. An airsoft gun. Private security here. Not exactly the question, but I feel like once a week, I have to tell client employees that company policy equals law. Someone parking in an arbitrary reserved spot is an issue for me on behalf of the company, not the police. Handicapped spots are a different story. Also, the big one, no, I cannot prevent your car from being lawfully repossessed. You signed the agreement, and it could be considered a breach of peace or disorderly conduct for me to try and stop a repo. If the tow driver decided to call the police himself, they show me the paperwork. All I can do is have an officer come down to verify it, even though in practice, companies are supposed to notify local law enforcement prior to executing a repo so there isn't any bullshit. But admittedly, a lot of the companies are super shady and won't do this. Obligatory not a cop, but do have a story. Sometimes when I was in college, my friends and I would go walk around downtown. It was nearing Thanksgiving time and my friend Chris and I were walking past a hotel that had a nice bar in it and decided to stop for a drink. As we passed the side of the building to get to the entrance where the bar is, there was a man full on passed out in the bushes. Chris and I both looked at each other and I know we thought the same thing because we both told each other that guy's dead. We then walked into the hotel, where a local police officer was there for some other reason, and we let him know about the guy in the bushes. The police officer just sighed and said, "Yeah, that's Tom. He does this because he's homeless and wants us to take him to jail or the hospital so he'll have somewhere warm to sleep." These two kids ran into the police station completely frantic about something. I finally asked them what was wrong, and they broke down crying and admitted they had stolen a balloon. The thing is, it was free balloon day. The kids asked what their punishment would be, so my partner and I put them in a jail cell for like 5 seconds, and we all had a good laugh about it. A few years back, my sergeant was a real stickler on underage alcohol tickets. His policy was zero tolerance, no excuses. One night, I was dispatched to an underage party complaint at an apartment, with the reporting party saying they saw lots of really young teenagers showing up. When I arrived, I could hear loud music coming from a garage, so I knocked on the door. The door was opened, and I found one drunk guy, DG, who looked to be about 25 plus years old. DG was just shooting pool by himself in the garage with the music turned way too loud. After the music was turned down, I asked DG if he knew where the underage party was at. DG hung his head and rats himself out, saying that he didn't turn 21 for another week. I gave a very brief lecture, telling DG to just wait another week before he drinks anymore. DG went on to tell me that the folks in the basement apartment had a teenage son that had invited a bunch of friends over to drink and party, which he was not involved with. I thanked DG and told him that I would need to go check on the party in the basement apartment. I told DG that legally I would need to write him an underage, but I would be dealing with the underage party first. Wink, wink. I told DG that it was going to take me a long, wink, time, wink, to deal with the underage party, and that he needed to wait until I got back to write him his underage ticket. DG looks upset, but says he understands, and sits down to wait. I again tell DG it's going to take me a long, wink, time, wink, to deal with the teenagers. DG tells me he will wait. I finally tell DG, dude, just go home. It finally clicks with DG, and he scampers off. I guess technically it was illegal for DG to be drinking, but barely. Back when I was in the military, my unit was required to do a mass drug test. We had one guy in my shop who didn't show up to work for like the next 3 days following this drug test. Turns out, he ran away to Mexico. We only found out because he got down there and ran out of money and had to call our shop lead to come get him. When he got back, he was questioned about why he ran away from everything, and he said it was because he does cocaine and he was going to pop positive on the drug test. Turns out the results came back and he didn't even pop positive. He was a total douche anyways, so he totally deserved it. Not a police officer, but I had seen a news article on someone who had tried to commit suicide by police officer. He had called the police telling them that someone was carrying a gun around town, that someone turned out to be him. He was refusing to take his hand out of his pocket, hoping that the officer would shoot him. It turns out that he didn't have a gun, and that he was just holding on to his phone the whole time. The officer had taken him and just talked with him. Not sure where the man is today, but the thing that the officer had done was remarkable. 1. Had a lady come into the lobby crying her eyes out because she thought she had ran a red light. Asked her if she actually did or not, and she couldn't remember. She then proceeded to stick her hands out so I could cuff her. I had to explain, we don't arrest people for red light violations, and even if she had, she would have only gotten a ticket. 2. Guy came in looking for a gas card. A local church provides us $10 gas cards to give to people who need them. I run his info and sure enough he has outstanding warrants from 3 different counties. He was pretty cook about it though. He figured he had warrants, but needed the gas money and decided to roll the dice anyways. This is something my mom, who's a cop, told me about a while ago. They had some old guy turn in a practical armory that he had. Turns out it was all registered to him. There was some pretty serious stuff in there too. A few of the registrations were expired, but everything else was perfectly legal. He had, I kid you not, forgotten he'd registered them to himself. There were at least 25 guns there and over 10,000 rounds of ammo. Please subscribe, leave a like, comment and share the video to help the channel.